Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo. Tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Pooba, Senator, Pagoda, and Bam Bam. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some whiskey, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 97th official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a New World cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We revisit a Fuente blended cigar tonight. Pooba and Rooster argue over chocolate, and Senator details his latest flight experience gone wrong, all among a variety of other things for the next 2 hours. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair the Senator Barrel Proof Straight Rye Whiskey with the Ashton VSG Torpedo. The Torpedo tonight from Ashton. It's called the VSG, the Virgin Sun Grown. It's the second VSG we've done on the pod. It's a beautiful Torpedo, 55 ring gauge by 6.5 inches long. This thing is significant, boys.
It's a beautiful cigar.
So we did the Illusion, was the other VSG that we did that really went very well. And we all, I think, went out and bought boxes,
Did
right?
we?
Yeah.
What we rated? Like a 9+?
It was
in the eights.
I think it was mid-eights.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'll look
Close
it
to
up.
a
Oh, I
nine.
think it was a little closer to a 9.
8.8.
That's what I'm thinking.
8.8. Exactly
Yeah.
an 8.8.
Yeah.
I told you.
On episode
we all-
51.
We all went and bought boxes. I think that
We did.
I have high hopes for this. I feel like I smoked this years ago and had a pretty good experience, but let's see
Mm-hmm.
in the larger ring gauge if this thing, kind of holds up.
It's kind of the opposite, to your point. It's kind of the opposite of the Illusion. The Illusion's like a,
Lonsdale.
Lonsdale,
Yep.
42, 44 ring gauge. This 55. You'll see how the blend does in this ring gauge.
Say what you want about Ashton, but this is an established blend and it's been around for a long time. It was a collaboration
Mhm.
between Robert Levin and Arturo Fuente that goes back almost 30 years.
Yeah, 1999.
This blend. 24 years. So it's been on the market and
People love it.
people love it. So I think that's a merit.
Isn't Robert Levin the owner of Holtz?
I don't
I
know.
think we talked about
I think so.
He
I
may
thought
be.
Yeah, he owns
Holtz owned a part of this marca. Is that true? Maybe.
Well,
I'm-
Robert
Oh,
Levin.
I think Robert Levin the
Yeah.
Levin family may own
Right. I remember
Holtz.
hearing that somewhere along the line. Yeah.
or be in partnership with them.
Right.
But that notwithstanding, let's see.
that. Yeah, let's cut this thing, boys. See, we're getting on the cold draw on the wrapper. Rooster, I'm going to borrow your cutter if you don't mind.
That's
'Cause my cutter has a cap.
Good
thing on it,
cold
which
draw.
is not good for a torpedo.
Fruity.
Mm.
Very nice.
It's kind
That's
of that
really
same
nice.
cold draw that you would get on
On the Illusion.
the Illusion.
This is going to be a nice cigar.
Let's see.
All right, boys, let's light this thing. The Ashton VSG Torpedo. Again, it's a 55 ring gauge cigar by 6.5 inches long. What I like about this is for the size, it doesn't have a ton of weight to it.
No.
It feels good in the hand, but it's not
It doesn't-
overpacked.
Yeah, and the draw is wide open, so it doesn't seem dense.
Yeah. I smoke a lot of those Illusions, man.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's a premium cigar. The construction on it is pretty nice. And the wrapper's a little bit between, like, toothy and sophisticated. It's kind of
There's
Whatever-
Pagoda. Sorry,
whatever that-
Pagoda's taking off.
Jesus.
Pagoda's heading to Mars tonight.
I think did you get a welding certificate? Because you may need a license for that thing.
And it's a tiny little thing. It's a
I
tiny
could
little-
hire you, I could weld steel on a job site, no problem
Oh, I'd love to do that.
with that thing. Jeez.
go home, drink a 12-pack of Bud,
Weld some steel.
fucking watch the Mets.
Plummet.
What are the Mets?
This is really nice on the light. It's got a very interesting, I would say mild to medium blend to it. The flavors really, I would argue complex. I think there's a lot going on there.
There's a touch of citrus there on the finish for me. Coffee on up front for me.
Definitely getting that espresso. Yeah, this is really nice.
I have to say, I'm glad we're doing this in a larger ring gauge just because the illusion that we all bought, I've liked that cigar, but I have experienced some of them either with a bit too tight of a draw, and some of them sometimes pack a punch in strength unexpectedly, where I feel like this in a larger ring gauge, the draw already is perfect.
Wide open.
It's great. And the flavor profile right off the light is not as aggressive as sometimes when I light the illusion side.
Yeah, this feels really good in the hand.
It's very smooth.
Yeah, it's very elegant.
Yeah.
I think this would slot in at multiple points during the day.
Sure.
Yeah, it's got the it does feel very light. You know, I remember like when we were discussing the aging room, I think that also felt like light.
Mm.
You know, there are these cigars which seem that they'd be more heavy or stronger, but they just feel light.
But there's like a richness in the background to it, similar to the Lonsdale or the
It's a Lonsdale.
It's a Lonsdale.
The Lonsdale. There's a little bit of that richness that you get, a little chocolatey, a little
It's
like-
cocoa.
No, I was talking more about the resistance when you're blowing in.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'll just say, pick up on what Pooba said. I agree. There's a richness. It's almost chewy. It's like I feel like I'm eating a candy bar right now. It's like the smoke is thick and really kind of velvety.
And I like the way, even on the light, I like the way it coats your mouth.
Oh, that's very true.
You know, like it's a very pleasant experience.
Well, that piggybacks on what Senator just said.
Yeah.
It's there's some viscosity to the smoke.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a richer experience than the illusion, right? It's,
I
it's
agree
a
with
little
that.
bit more, getting more flavor out of this.
Yeah.
I think
And
so
like,
far. I mean,
like
just
Pooba
in
said,
the
it is
beginning.
more complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I agree. What's weird for me is I feel like it's slightly toned down in strength from the illusion, but
I
it's
agree.
actually increased
More-
in flavor.
It's more complex. A little
Yeah.
more flavor I'm getting out of this than
Yeah.
the illusion. I mean, I don't smoke those quite that often, but
Mhm.
whenever I have, I mean,
Yeah.
from what I remember, like this is a little richer experience.
Yep.
So these come in a cedar chest of 24 cigars, which you can get anywhere from $350, let's say, to $415 for the chest of 24. It has an Ecuadorian Sumatran wrapper, and it has a Dominican binder and filler,
Mm.
and it's rolled in the Dominican Republic.
You know, the retrohale's got delicious fruit notes. Fantastic.
Yeah, there is
Unexpected,
there is
actually.
that citrus that you
A
were
touch of
talking
it.
about. There's a very slight, faint
Right?
citrus note that you get at the end, at the very
At
end.
the finish, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even at the smoke, you can kind of smell the citrus somehow in there. It's really
It
bizarre.
almost has like a. I
At
hate-
the burn, I'm sorry, at the burn line,
Yeah.
you're getting a ton of that fruit and
Yeah.
citrus.
Oh, it's there.
Yeah.
But I feel like in the mouth, I think to what you were just saying, Senator, it almost has like a palate cleansing kind of effect to it. Like I feel like my mouth feels clean even though I'm smoking a cigar, and the viscous smoke, like it's working. It's very complex.
It's a little bit like if you've ever had like it's got notes of that Pepperidge Farm.
Always a baking reference with you.
Well, no, the dark chocolate it's dark chocolate orange. They
Oh
have
yeah,
dark
the
yeah,
chocolate-
Milanos.
yeah.
The
the
Milanos.
Milanos.
Yeah.
You know, the dark chocolate orange. It's not that bready, but it's like the middle part of it that is the chocolate orange part.
Not totally wrong, actually.
There's a little bit of that going on. It's not that pronounced, but it's there.
Yeah. It's a weird combination of like chocolate and fruit and citrus, right there.
You know what those notes remind me of? What cigar? The EP Carrillo Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't believe we were getting like lemon and citrus
Lemon we were
along
getting.
with like cocoa and the other kind of traditional flavors. And this is the only other cigar that I would describe with those same kind of flavor notes.
And when you have that combination, you're describing a very complex cigar, sophisticated, well made.
I kind of like the combination of chocolate and citrus. I could care less about mint and chocolate, though.
I like that too, though.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Citrus and chocolate, for some reason, is a good combination.
Oh, it's I want a
So
Milano
you're
now.
not an Andes Candies fan.
What about Junior Mints?
I mean,
Is that-
the
Love Junior
holidays.
Mints.
The holidays come
No,
around.
I don't like mint and chocolate.
Really?
Really?
Just
Well, so when the holidays come
What?
around, that my wife gets the Andes candies, and also the Lindor.
Oh yeah.
You know the Lindor, and then there's like a little bowl, like and the green Andes candies go out.
Does she put this out to feed the deer?
Oh, we got to tell that story today.
Yeah,
we got to
we-
tell that story.
We do. It's
You know
holiday
what I
treats.
love? You know what I love about Andes candies? When you walk into a hotel room and there's an Andes candy on the pillow.
You're always happy.
That's
Oh.
that's, that's the best.
It's awesome.
I love the Andes candy. You know why? Because you have like two of them after dinner, and it's like it's actually just like two little tiny things. It's not gonna.
It doesn't
Crush
put you over
you.
the edge.
Yeah, but they only come around like at Christmas, you know.
Are
for
those
some
ones with the
reason.
green wrappers?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Those are good.
yeah, they're good. They're
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
You throw them in the fridge and you just nosh a couple of those.
They're great.
Wow, forget it. And then the Lindor chocolate truffle around the holidays. I mean, wow.
But that's not mint, though. I mean, it's
I'm just
chocolate.
saying. I'm
No.
talking about chocolate.
Right.
dude.
Yeah.
I'm just- I'm-
No, we're-
Hey, dude, it's chocolate. Okay?
yeah, I'm just talking about
listen, guy.
guy. We're on chocolate. And those come out.
You're my guy.
Holiday season. Those come out and they're out, and you know the children are just, you know, even as teenagers, they you know they're like gremlins. Like you put out a handful, and all of a sudden you turn
They're
around
gone.
and they're gone, and you have to do a reprimand.
My wife loves
Reprimand.
my wife loves York peppermint patties. There's that chocolate and mint.
No,
Holy-
No,
Oh, she's
I don't
obsessed with
like
them.
See,
no.
that's mint. That's mint and chocolate.
That's the only mint
Don't
and
listen
chocolate
to
that
them.
is done so horribly.
No.
I
It
can't
should
wait to
be-
play this for her.
It
Don't
should be
listen to them.
outlawed. Peppermint patties should be. Pooba, please tell me you're with me on this.
I don't eat peppermint patties.
Thank you.
I don't mind
Thank
them.
you.
I don't
I'm
mind
not
them
a
at
huge
all.
fan, but I do love an almond joy.
Oh,
shit.
sure. Oh, of course.
We're talking about mint and chocolate.
We're talking about
No, we're talking
Chocolate,
about candy, dude. Just
Hey, dude,
just
it's
follow
chocolate,
the
dude.
follow
We're
the
talking
narrative, follow
pepper.
the conversation.
It's a
podcast.
Isn't that mint? Isn't
Yeah,
that
York
mint?
peppermint
That's
patty.
mint. So we're talking about mint and chocolate. I'm saying I don't like that combination of
We-
mint and chocolate.
Stop yelling at everyone.
Chocolate.
And calm down.
Chocolate
You're
is
screaming at
fine.
they're screaming at the whole
No,
group.
you're talking about I'm talking about mint and chocolate.
Do we
in
need an
particular.
accountability hour?
But I don't. I
Okay.
just don't like mint and chocolate.
Okay.
That's me.
Okay,
All
can
right.
we? All right,
All right.
all right. Hold on. Senator takes the minutes of every episode. Can you please write down in the lizard ledger that Rooster does not like mint and chocolate?
Oh, we've got it
It's
loud
duly noted.
and clear.
It's duly noted. You could stop yelling at the group now and just go with the flow here. I mean, I don't understand. We were talking about we were going through a chocolate conversation.
I don't like fucking mint. And chocolate.
We got it.
Okay, stop yelling.
I've also added in the ledger peppermint patties are banned.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, but
I don't agree with
The
that.
texture of that also is just terrible. It's just so mushy and
It's
I
very
can't stand
processed.
them.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, it is
now the
processed.
almond joy is processed, but the almond joy is a hell of a candy.
I love almond joy.
Yeah.
I like
You guys
See,
on the same
now we're
page
gaining
again.
a
Rooster,
alignment.
we're
Because
talking
it doesn't-
about mint.
We're talking about mint.
Almond joy has no
We're not
fucking
talking
mint.
about coconut.
There's
We're
no
talking about mint.
There's no mint in almond joy. I love Kit Kat too, but yeah.
Oh, I love a Kit Kat.
I'm kind of lost over here. Is this like a minty cigar? Like a minty cigarette?
I would put it down.
Seriously though, guys, this cigar is very good.
It is.
And I like the medium complexity
Mhm.
despite the size. You know, we've talked about this. Your eyes, you know, you look at a cigar like this, has a dark, oily wrapper on it, and you go, you know what, that's probably, and the size,
Mhm.
significant. You look at it, you go, that's probably going to kick me around. And you light it up, and this is a very
Yeah.
Approachable.
easy affair.
Approachable, it's firmly medium, right?
Very easy affair.
Yep.
It's one of those. It's to me, it's one of these blends that if you're out and you're looking through a humidor, and this is pretty widely distributed,
Mhm.
it's pretty widely available. You can reach for it with confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see guys at other clubs smoke this. I've wanted to try it for years. I just never got around to it. So I'm glad we're doing this tonight.
I also love with the larger ring gauge, the like subtle box press from clearly it just kind of being crammed in the box a bit.
Yep.
It just feels great in the hand. It's like
Yeah.
a Padron. Like it just makes it
Mm-hmm.
that much more manageable.
Yep.
Yeah, right at the foot. The foot was a little box pressed.
Yeah.
The burn on this thing is great, though.
Pretty
Yeah.
razor sharp.
You know, I guess with a lot of New Worlds, the tobacco in this is 4 to 5 years of age. Obviously, like Puba said, blended in conjunction with Carlito Fuente in 1999, which, you know, this was Ashton's first. And I would argue, and I think we did argue on the episode 51 when we did the Illusion, this is really their only serious entry into that premium, the premium market for, I guess, I don't want to say advanced smokers, but non-beginner smokers. Like they don't have a lot of other stuff that I think is kind of reaching for a full experience.
Yeah. Do we?
Well, the estate sun grown, I think.
ESG.
The ESG.
ESG. That's true.
Is a premium cigar.
Yes, it is.
I've
I'm
never
not
heard
that
of that.
familiar
Is that
with,
full? Because
I've only had a couple.
they
I
call
can't
this
remember.
full.
I think this is fuller than the ESG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a
For
medium
me.
cigar. This is their reach for the Padrones and
Do you
that
feel
kind of
this is a
smoker.
full flavored cigar?
At this point, no.
Medium.
I'm at a
I
medium
think in
for me.
flavor, I think it can be argued that's medium full in flavor, but in strength, it's very medium.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah, the flavor is very rich.
Which for an affair like this is, which is going to be a pretty long engagement.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a merit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and I like that too because it a cigar like this becomes so versatile where you can have this at so many different points of the day.
Yeah.
Like when a cigar is super full, that's not a cigar you're going to light up, with the exception of Rooster, at like 11 a.m. or noon. But a cigar like this, I mean, I could see having this early afternoon, evening, at night. It's kind of all around, all
It's
purpose.
pretty pleasant right now. Yeah. What are these? What do they cost? Any idea?
So they're retail. They're about $21.
Okay.
In a retail shop. I think you can probably find them between 15 and 18 on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, if you're buying a full cedar chest at 24, you're going to be able to get them at a reasonable price. But
Not a bad deal.
no, and I mean, I think for the experience, I mean, we're only 3/4 of an inch in, but if this performs anything close to the what the Lonsdale did, I mean, for $20 for an hour and a half of real excellent experience, this is elegant, man.
You're doing well.
I think it's worth it.
You're doing pretty well, especially given the prices in the Cuban market, and if you're looking for something that's full flavored but kind of medium in strength, subbing something like this in from time to time brings value and some satisfaction. I mean, it's not like this type of a cigar is going to all of a sudden at the end. I don't predict this becoming some sort of negative affair. I just don't see that happening. Maybe I'll be proved wrong.
The only thing I can see happening is just at the tip of the torpedo, if you don't cut enough off, just getting a little bit of a tar buildup because this is going to be
That's
a
a
long
good
smoke.
point.
And that happens on the Illusion.
That's exactly when I said that I get a too tight of a draw sometimes on the Illusion. I've had tar build up there and it's been super frustrating. So that's why I'm hoping with a larger ring gauge like this that we won't have that issue.
This is one that in the second half, I'm definitely going to just take a little bit more off than I did in my first cut, which wasn't much.
Yeah.
Just to prevent that potential tar buildup, as it's concentrated at the.
You may have undercut for the first time.
I
He
did.
did actually. I just
did on
noticed
purpose,
that.
boys.
Because I think ours is more
Yeah,
open.
Senator, myself, Puba, and Pagoda,
Yeah.
and Rooster. We took off a good amount.
Yeah,
just
I took
to
off.
avoid that.
I purposely took
we know
off
that. Yeah.
less than normal
Nice, yeah.
to take off a little more in the second half. So
you're running the anteater.
Hey. I always do.
The anteater.
We talked about this previously, and I think to tie into a recent episode, the CAO that we did that ended up being a really good cigar, the
Surprising.
BX3
Yeah, surprising.
in Robusto. It pains me that Ashton doesn't market this cigar to guys who smoke Padrones, guys who are smoking Fuentes, and this is a Fuente cigar. Like that story is not being told in any meaningful way. Like I don't think this is a cigar people talk about. I think it has a passionate base. It's been around for 25 years, but I don't know. I think there's more of a story to be told here, and I just don't think they're telling it.
Well, how much more do they need to, from a marketing perspective, it's an established blend from an established brand. How much,
Had
How
we
mu-
not, here's
how-
what I'll
how-
say.
how- in
Had
other
we
words,
not
how
done the
much more
illusion
you
on the
can-
podcast, I would never have reached for an Ashton VSG cigar.
Yeah,
That's right.
I also think to Gizmo's point, I had never tried the VSG period until we did it on the podcast, and that's purely because I associate Ashton as a brand with just mild cigars. I
Me
didn't even
too.
know they made a full
This
cigar.
is very true.
Yeah. When I think Ashton, I think that's a beginner cigar.
Yeah, I mean, at our previous lounge, we used
had
to
this.
smoke the VSGs once in
Mhm.
a while. They were recommended, but yeah, you're right. I mean, the regular Ashton line is very
Mild.
mild.
The
Mhm.
white
Yeah.
label.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it just
very
screams
mild.
beginner cigar to me. And then nothing wrong with that.
nothing
but-
at all.
Yeah, I think the reason
used to
why
smoke a
we're
lot of
not,
those.
we're kind of, they haven't really come out with anything new.
Yeah,
in a
that's
long
also
time.
That's
true.
true too.
Well, probably because
No other
Carlito
new
has
blend.
moved on.
Yeah, but I mean, if you,
But
well,
even
like,
their regular core line, like
Yeah,
the
they
mild
have-
stuff, I haven't seen anything that looks new or different.
right, they haven't really done anything new.
Mm.
Not that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
I find that more and more as the Cuban cigar prices keep going the direction they are going, I keep looking for and going back and revisiting, New World cigars that we haven't done in a while and smoking more and more of them.
I mean, Ashton just reminds me of the '90s. It reminds me of remember the Griffiths.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember
They were
the
mild.
Griffiths.
They are.
Or-
They
Gri-
were, but they were,
Griffin.
or the Griffin.
Yeah.
the Griffin.
Those are
The-
beloved cigars by a lot of people. Still,
Did they still even make them?
they do, and
They
I
do.
I-
They're not very good. I'm
they're
sorry.
not, but a lot of people like them.
No,
I
but
see
those
a
were
lot of
v-
guys smoke those.
I'm just saying they were
Yeah.
like in vogue. In
Uh-huh.
other
Yeah.
words, at the advent of kind of the cigar boom,
Mhm.
those were, it was like a golf club cigar or whatever, and they were popular.
I bought that cigar for a buddy who had the last name Griffin for his birthday once. And then I smoked it after I bought it and gave it to him. And I was like, shit, this was not a good gift. It was not very good.
You know what's another brand that
This is an old
kind of
school.
comes to me when you talk about the Griffin is the PG Paul Grammarian. Did you ever smoke those?
No, I've never
It-
heard
of
it,
that.
had a red and white band.
Don't know what that is.
PG. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
also popular at that
At
about
that
the
time,
same
but
time.
like,
yeah.
but like Nat Sherman was like the shit. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought, I mean, going back to that period of time, if you could get a Cuban, do you know what I mean? That was cool.
Very.
But Nat Sherman was, I remember cherishing those. And then there was a lot of Macanudo. Macanudo
Mhm.
was very popular
It was
back at that time.
another very light cigar.
I mean, Pagoda knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No, I do.
You know what I mean? In the city, the Macanudo, there was a lot of Macanudos. People smoked Ashton. People smoked,
The timeless 1930s from
yeah,
Nat Sherman.
that's right. And, and then there were a lot of cigars that kind of came into the market that I think it got flooded with just a lot of bad stuff.
A lot of celebrity cigars, right? A lot of like celebrities
Yeah.
having brands. Didn't Chuck Norris have a brand? And there were like a bunch of
Yeah.
different celebrity brands
There were a lot of
That's-
just random brands and
came in and out.
Yeah, and then but like I remember the Monte Cristo stuff not being particularly good, and there was a lot of issues with some of these cigars, and there was a lot of boutique weird brands that were popping up, and they were just it wasn't good. There were a lot of bad cigars around. New World cigars, like they weren't. It's not as sophisticated of a market and audience as it is today. Like that audience was just kind of building. You know what I mean? Like this new young smoker was out there,
Just looking for something to smoke.
looking for something to smoke, and you trying to figure out what was good and what wasn't, because it was a boom. It was a real boom. But
Michael Jordan was smoking it on TV constantly,
What?
right? Cigar Aficionado had just come out in a few years prior. Like, there was a lot of cultural kind of driving. There were, Kramer's walking around in Seinfeld with a cigar every episode. I mean, those things make an impact on people in their minds. Like, I got to try this,
oh yeah,
and I think that probably contributed to, and it was obviously a little bit more relaxed. You could smoke in restaurants.
Yeah.
you could smoke
you know,
anywhere. Yeah.
Imagine, I mean, you probably remember, unfortunately I don't, because I was in Pennsylvania and I was 12 years old, but, I'd sitting down at a restaurant having a great steak in New York and being able to light a cigar after, like,
Pretty cool.
That sounds amazing to
You
me.
can smoke on United flights in the back.
You probably still can.
in the back.
Anything goes on those airplanes.
They
There
put
was a
a,
smoking section in the back.
did they have a zipper wall?
No,
Keep
no
it?
zipper wall.
I remember when I was a kid.
including norovirus, which senator contracted on a United Airlines flight.
I want to hear this story.
Yeah.
I want to hear this story. So you got a little taste of food poisoning.
I did. First time ever, actually.
Really?
Never
Oh,
gotten food
We
poisoning.
that's
want to
not
know what
fun.
was on your plate.
So what? So
Because
what?
he like eats Hot Pockets in first class, and he like actually eats that shit, which is dumb.
He'll never admit it, but he would
He
eat that.
does. He
So
eats the Hot Pocket.
What happened, and what points to your
All right,
favorite
so-
airline as the culprit?
First,
No
I have
hop.
to start with the context of I'm severely regretting
He's a United
my
guy.
decision to listen to Gizmo and give United a shot. That United has changed so much from the years that I tried it ages ago. So this year, to show, I'm old dog can learn new tricks. All right, I'm gonna give it a shot and not fly American as much. I've earned United status this year. I've flown it so
You're a
much. So I
United
have
guy.
a
I've been saying that.
large sample size of the United experience at this point, and it is god awful. And
Oh,
I'm
boy.
done with United at the end of this year, and I'm going to be all in on American next year. But in giving United a chance, I was flying from Newark to Houston. Houston's a United hub, so for any experienced traveler, the listener knows what I'm talking about here. When you fly to a hub, you always check the plane model, because there are at least usually 2 flights a day where they have to send a big international plane with like a 3 cabin class, lie flat, everything, like beautiful planes. And basically for the same exact price that you'd be booking like first class in a standard plane with just a, standard seat that reclines a little bit, you'd get a lie flat bed for the flight. It's amazing. So I used to do this with American, like always New York to Miami, just a short little hop to Florida, and you could sit in a lie flat bed. It was amazing. So I booked this. It's on a Boeing 767 that, by the way, I can't believe they fly this internationally. It's a 2 cabin class plane. There's not even 3, which doesn't make sense for a big plane. The plane itself has not been updated since the 90s. I am not exaggerating. The headphone jack on this plane has 2 prongs. I haven't seen that on an airplane literally since I was a child. I mean, it's like absurd. Nobody has that. There's a standard 1 plug.
I'm looking at Gizmo's eyes. I think laser beams are going to come out of him.
Next recording, I'm going to bring an adapter just for him that he has to have the 2-prong headphones to
First of all,
listen.
who's relying? And you guys
Nobody.
know how much I'm traveling. Who's relying on any airline in any class seats entertainment system? You have an iPad. You download stuff in your iPad. You have Bose canceling headphones, and you live
debunking Senator's view.
No,
here.
no,
What?
it's not wrong.
I mean,
But it's
like,
the point.
who cares?
It's the point. So I'm 100% with you. I never use it either. But when you're just looking at this shitty plane that has literally not been upgraded since the 90s, you're like, this is their Polaris product. This is their pride and joy. I mean, it's just garbage. I mean, the headphones that they hand out, it's so comical. I told Giz this again. I don't use headphones when I'm flying in a 3 cabin class plane because I have my own stuff. But on American,
Are they like
they
Air?
always
They're like the ones that are Air. That,
no. On American, they give you they used to give you Bose noise canceling headphones. They're incredible. Now they have a partnership with Bang & Olufsen, also amazing headphones. It's supposed to be a premium experience in that cabin. On United, these headphones, and Giz has seen them because he told me he doesn't disagree with me. They're the worst
want to admit it, but
headphones
he's
of
right.
all time. They
Listen,
look
I'm
like
an
they're-
audio guy, and they're horrible.
They
man.
look like they're from the dollar store.
Yeah, they're really
And
bad.
this is like in a cabin that people are spending over $1,000 to sit in. I mean, it's
Inflation.
just silly. So I just can't get over how this whole setup is. Then the thing that really makes my head explode, I go to sit down in my seat and I'm looking at the seat back and I'm like, why is there a seat belt protruding out of the seat back? Like it's going to be digging into my shoulder as I'm sitting there. I've never, ever seen an airplane seat that has a shoulder strap like you're in a car. Has anyone seen that before?
Never.
Never.
Thank you.
Never.
No.
So
They have it in Polaris.
So yeah, United Polaris. So I'm like trying to move it out of the way so it's not like digging into my back, especially when I'm going to recline. And then we're getting ready to take off. And a flight attendant comes up to me and says, "Excuse me, sir, can you please fasten your shoulder strap?" Now I have the regular seatbelt fastened. I'm not an idiot. Like obviously that's required. Why on earth do I need a shoulder strap to fly on a United plane? And I don't need this on any other flight, any airline
Nor
in the
does
world.
the rest of the airplane need it.
Right.
Well, it's an old plane, like you said, so maybe.
Yeah. Well, apparently,
I've never, by the way, my mom worked for United. Okay. And I probably have flown United more than anyone else in this room combined. She worked for them for 9 years. And this is in the 70s and 80s, which it sounds like this plane was from that era. And I never saw a shoulder strap.
Thank you.
And I flew standby
I've never
all
seen
around
that.
the world.
I Googled this, and apparently United contracted with Boeing on these planes, and the lie flat seats they built at too high and steep of an angle, so it was unsafe if you had a rough landing. So they had to specially build in shoulder straps. I'm just like, get this right. Every other airline, when you're sitting in that cab, who wants to be bothered? So I tried to test this because when you're flying in that cabin in any airline, they're never going to bother you. You could basically, I've had my seatbelt unbuckled and I just fell asleep. They're not going to wake you up. Like the whole point is to just keep the people there happy because they're the frequent travelers on that airline. I just, as a test, when we're landing, have my seatbelt fastened as I'm supposed to, but I don't have the shoulder strap. And I just close my eyes just to pretend I'm sleeping. I'm like, there's no way that some United flight attendant would be dumb enough to wake a passenger up for this. And a guy fucking taps my shoulder. Sir, please fasten your shoulder strap. And oh, actually, sorry. So he says this to me and I keep my eyes closed. I pretend I didn't hear him. Then he taps me and he says the same thing. And I said, I heard you the first time. I'm not fastening the shoulder strap.
No.
And you can see I was very agitated. And then he just moved on. But it's like, why put customers through that silliness? No airline does it.
Is it a separate latch? It's not like a car, like it's one latch. It's like one
So
piece.
it is one latch, but you pull it and then they
It, like,
created
hooks
this
in.
little thing to hook it onto the other latch. It's really bizarre.
Do you realize how much this group finds this the fact that you get so upset about these kind of problems?
It's incredible.
that are not really that.
No,
they're
they're
like,
first
he
world
could do-
problems.
It's
He could
no,
do
no,
2
no, no, no.
hours. They're first
It's
world
not
problems.
a first world problem.
His
It's
energy
beyond
level.
that. It's beyond a
It's true.
first world problem.
It's very true.
It's like a first world squared problem. It becomes actually you have to do like a little bit of extra math. It's hilarious how,
It's
how
totally
jacked up you
His
get about
energy
this.
level
fair.
quadrupled the moment this topic came
Yeah,
up.
It's just
just
outrageous.
quadruple.
He could do
It's just outrageous.
He could do 2 hours on this tonight.
Easily.
Outrageous.
Easily. Again, when you travel,
You got to cut the mic.
It's outrageous.
when you travel a ton for business, all you are praying for is just peace and quiet. So that's why you get a lounge access, you get a lounge membership, so you don't sit around all the crying families and kids.
Elitist.
You
Elitist.
board first. You sit there in silence. You just don't want to worry about this stuff. And I get on a United flight, and it's like I'm flying Spirit Airlines, basically.
Oh, boy.
So anyway, nightmare experience on there. And then they bring out food.
The
Nightmare.
United
Oh,
Lounge,
that's a nightmare.
Dude, the United Lounge, you get top soda, some fucking Pellegrino, you get a shitty dessert.
Yeah,
Dude,
it's
the
like a
lounges,
factory. It's
the
horrible.
all of them suck, though.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
I mean, I get you. Listen, if you're
the-
flying like United Arab Emirates fucking airlines to Dubai,
Well,
you're
any-
gonna
any
have a
of the
great
international lounges
experience.
are great.
You're gonna have great experience. But you know,
The
come
thing
on,
you can
man.
count
what are you
on-
expecting from these fucking
Oh, no.
airlines?
By the way, for the
they don't
listener,
even have air traffic controllers to even land the planes at this point.
So hold on.
for the listener, let me just say, the text messages that we get from Senator on this,
It's just,
I mean,
he doesn't realize
it's like an angry
it was an
ex-girlfriend
essay.
texts you, and it's just like you have to thumb through the essay.
I'm just making sure Gizmo gets a full report since this is his suggestion that I'm sitting on this shit. plane.
I remember reading the thread, and it all started with Giz. Let me
That's
tell
right.
you, Giz,
No.
this is what I'm going through right now.
So hold on, Puma's gonna die when he hears this. I sat in the United Lounge with Gizmo when we went to Cuba, and Gizmo says to me, he goes, "Oh, sorry, we go to order a drink, so we get Bloody Marys."
Yeah.
I swear, the bartender says it's like 8 a.m.
It-
We're
it-
out of Bloody Marys. Can you imagine this? 8 a.m. in a fucking airline line. Like, how can I not say United is terrible?
that would break my soul.
Thank you.
Um,
Can you imagine?
I'd back
this?
it up with a screwdriver and move on with my life.
That's,
But I
that's
mean-
what he did.
But yes, I mean
It's like, how at 8 a.m. have you run out of Bloody Mary
Okay.
mix? It's unbelievable.
that's the only point that I'll give you that you're not being slightly.
I knew I'd have him
that,
with me
that,
there.
that you're slightly, that you're slightly not being hyperbolic on. I mean, it's just it's
So fast
I wanna
forward
hear
now
the-
to the food.
Let's talk about the food.
Okay, so it's the morning, so there's breakfast on the plane. I'm like, how harmful can this be? Right? It's like eggs, some I guess potatoes, fruit, yogurt, simple stuff. I have a little bit of the eggs, I have the fruit, and I think I had some of the yogurt. How can you go wrong with it? This is not like they put a steak in front of me and I tried to eat airplane steak. Obviously, I'm not going to do that. Somehow, the flight there, no problem. The flight back, I felt horrible a couple days when I got home. I mean, just terrible. And everything I had eaten after that, I ate with a group and no one else had any stomach issues. So I was like,
maybe
obviously
you just worked yourself up so badly emotionally.
It was a shoulder
that it was
strap.
affecting your.
It could have been the shoulder strap.
Wait, hold on. So you're not okay. So from being the closest person to a doctor in this room, because I play one on TV, from a clinical perspective,
Dr. Puba.
Yeah, you're not going to fly in. That's one day. Eat the eggs. Stay 2 days. Fly back.
No. I'm talking about the return flight. So just to give you the chronology, I was eating at places in Houston. Every single restaurant I went with a group of people, no one had any issue.
What
Everybody
did you
felt
eat
great.
in Houston? Did you do the oysters?
No, I couldn't even find oysters in Houston, actually.
Okay.
I looked for it. I couldn't find it.
300 degrees there.
What'd you
Yeah,
eat?
that's a good thing.
Italian food one night.
Okay, what'd you have?
What's going on?
Some kind of pasta dish.
Okay.
American the night before, I had a piece of salmon and some greens.
Yeah.
It's cooked. Nothing
Okay,
raw.
but night before. What'd you eat the night before you got on the flight?
Italian food. And I felt great the next day.
But you got on the flight and felt like shit the next day.
I got on the flight, and then when I got home the next day, I felt like shit. And that's when
What'd
I
you
ate
eat on the
airplane
flight?
food.
You
I
ate
just described it.
ate the eggs
I had a little eggs,
and
the yogurt, and fruit.
Yeah. So
I'm still going with
someone took a dump and didn't wash their hands.
I'm still going with he worked himself up so bad that it just
Oh no!
went
Trust
right
me,
into his.
not that.
No, I don't think that.
This is far from my worst United experience. There's worse.
I remember you didn't smoke for a week.
Yeah, I
think
did.
So you
That's
had
what
to
caused
be,
it.
you were not well.
No.
Yeah.
No. Hence, I'm done with United.
I mean,
I gave it an honest try.
the eggs, the powdered eggs.
The eggs crushed him.
I don't know. I've
I
never.
was about to say
seen-
microwave.
Oh, sorry, we're burying the most important part of this story. So I come back. Obviously, I'm feeling like shit, so I don't smoke for several days. Finally, almost a week later, I'm totally back to normal. Actually, it wasn't that. Maybe 4 days, and then I was back to normal. So I finally, I'm feeling like myself. I happen to be doing some grocery shopping in Whole Foods, and this guy comes up behind me, and it's a member of our lounge, Eric. And he's like, "Oh, I haven't seen you. How have you been?" I said, "Oh, I got some food poisoning, but finally I'm over it. I'm feeling good." And he's like, "How'd you get it?" I said, "Either something I ate in Houston or my flight back." And he goes, "Let me guess. Did you fly United?" I said, "Yes." Why'd you guess United? He's like, I got food poisoning on a United flight. I'm like, this is wild. I just meet someone randomly and talk to them about this. He's had the exact same experience.
Confirmation bias.
And then
Yes.
there was a third person.
He loves
saying.
that.
Third person who Henry from our lounge, who just flew United to Colombia, and by the way,
Las
said it was the
Calaveras?
single. Well, we're not talking about his cigar preferences. He said it was the single worst flight experience of his life. That United flight to Colombia. He said on the return trip, he ate some food, immediately did not feel good, and the next day was basically like me, with food poisoning. This is 3 people now we're talking about that have had that experience after United.
Did
flight.
you write a strongly worded letter like you did to me?
Not yet, but I did actually. I'll give their customer service credit. I wrote a strongly worded letter after they canceled a flight of mine and couldn't even process a refund through the app. They canceled it. Obviously, they're supposed to refund me. And I kept hitting, refund on the app, and it just kept saying, error, I need to call.
Were you hitting the right button?
Oh, there was one button to hit. And so I call, and it's already aggravating that I have to do it. It should just automate it, right? Why should a customer have to call to ask for a refund when you owe them the money, you canceled their flight because you can't get your planes together? So I'm on hold for an hour.
Did you speak to somebody in Thailand or Philippines?
No, this guy spoke decent English, actually. But even the guy apologized. He's like, you should not have had to wait this long. I'm so sorry. And then he's like, you should write United a letter. They'll probably do something about this. So I'm like, there's no way I believe they will. But to their credit, I did write them an email. And they gave me $200, which was nice for my time.
Okay.
It's perfect.
So you got compensated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait, by the way, when I do the intro of this this episode to say that Senator details his experience in the United Polaris class. I can't wait to do it.
It's just awful. And when you go and just read reviews of it online, because you're looking for validation this time. You're like, am I crazy or do other people feel the same way? It's a dime a dozen websites that will say United Polaris is like a big step forward for United, but it pales in comparison to like flagship business or first on American or what Delta One or whatever they call it. It's just they're just so behind.
Can I just say on behalf of the listeners and the rest of the lizards, we're really thankful that you put yourself.
I sacrificed.
Yes, he did.
In a sacrificial
just so you
position.
all never have to trust Gizmo and fly United.
I've never gotten sick. I also don't eat the Hot Pockets. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. I mean, stick to the Bloody Mary.
Yeah,
if they have it.
When they have it.
When they have it. And I usually get like, I mean, if I'm really hungry and I have to eat airport food, I think the safest things are like those pre-made, boxed, hermetically sealed, like sandwiches. Do you know what I mean? That are made in like a huge factory that like basically everyone's got hairnets and plastic gloves on.
I worry
and they just
about
make
those
I
these.
do too.
No,
I worry.
No,
I worry about shelf life.
By
That's
the
what I
way,
worry about.
oh
me too.
well,
Can get
no,
moldy, yeah.
they're all marked. I mean, like.
How hard is it to put a sticker over a sticker?
Yeah.
That's
no,
all I'm saying.
I hear you, but at West, like, I have a friend of mine who worked at, like a really, really was the CFO of a really big local, which I won't mention, but that do a lot of that kind of work. Also center of the plate to all the way to center of the plate stuff for high-end restaurants. They do, and like the way, like the regulatory kind of,
Yeah, it's like a factory.
it's yeah. I mean, like it's very regulated. A lot of these places who are doing that kind of work.
Yeah.
So it's actually safer than some of the, Anyway, so sometimes that turkey and cheese sandwich, that's got a date on it. And the date's like 7 days out.
I've had a few of those. No
I'd like
complaints.
to. Can
No
I just say,
complaints.
I'd like
I'm just
Senator
saying.
the next time he's flying to do it. I want a full report
Well, you take that
on
you
the
put it in your
hermetically
bag.
sealed turkey and cheese sandwich.
No, but
thanks.
having said that, I'll tell you, the turkey sandwich in JetBlue is great.
There you go.
Mm.
I've never had a problem on JetBlue. I get
JetBlue's the best
I get the cheese.
like economy
Whatever.
product, period, domestically.
Yeah, I mean, you get the extra room seat. I fly on it out of Westchester when I'm doing it on a bi-monthly basis. You guys know I'm
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
Can you put your pinky out when you say that?
that's not.
And put your shoulder strap on, please.
But anyway, but you get an extra room seat on that flight. It's an aisle. You know what I mean? You fly.
Yeah, they're nice
I mean,
seats.
it's fine, and you pre-board. And
you like to pre-board too. Interesting.
Yeah,
Bougie
I
poop,
thought I was
bougie
the only
poop.
one.
Bougie poop.
Oh, yeah, it's real bougie. I get the cheese thing and a Bloody Mary and my what's it called? My iPad.
There you go.
And your sandwich.
So, boys, we're about halfway through here on the Ashton VSG and the Torpedo. This has been a really good cigar so far. What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's picked up in strength.
Yeah, it's definitely changed a little bit, at the halfway point for me.
Yeah. It's gotten a bit minerally for me, which I don't mind. A little minerality there for me.
Minerality, and there's also something a little sweet that I wasn't getting before.
I like a prune raisin type of thing for me.
Maybe that.
Maybe.
I think I like the complexity in the first half
Yeah.
more
this is very
than
pleasant.
I'm enjoying the second half.
Yeah.
That's
I also,
true.
by the way, while we were doing our airline product recap, I cut another
Uh-huh.
bit off the top here because I was starting to feel a little bit of a tar blast coming.
That looks like a gift card.
But look at him though. You're also going through that cigar fast.
Yeah, I'm enjoying
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
You're smoking way fast.
Yeah.
What are we doing about the liquor? Pair.
it. Yeah, I was just
good
going to say, we have to get...
Like-
I was going there.
Like we all hesitate.
I was going there. So, speaking of Senator and his harrowing experience, we found a straight rye whiskey called the Senator.
Oh yeah.
El Senador, barrel proof.
I think this is a prank, and it was made by United.
It was distilled in 2015. It's aged at least 6 years. It's 58.86% alcohol by volume.
Wow.
And
Giz
yeah,
is trying to kill us all.
this is don't drink too much of this, boys.
No.
But the barrel, this is pretty cool on the side. It says, it gives you the barrel date. 11/13/2015 is when it was put in a barrel. And it was bottled on April 11th, 2022.
Okay.
It's pretty
It's
cool.
cool.
So, yeah.
So what are you guys thinking of it?
So let's try it.
Rough.
The Senator.
Yeah.
You got to put a lot of ice in this.
Yes.
I
We,
think it
we all
needs-
put quite a bit of ice.
I think it needs a bit of
Except
vermouth.
Pagoda.
I think it needs a bit of sweet vermouth. A little bit of the Angostura bitters.
No, thank you.
Manhattan.
Little Manhattan.
Oof, and make a Manhattan.
With that base?
I don't think, listen, I
Yeah,
don't think it's terrible. It's serviceable. You know, it's not
Yeah.
it's not terribly interesting.
You know, early on it had a lot of bite, a ton. But in the background, there's a pleasant taste there.
It definitely needed the ice.
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost 120 proof.
Yeah.
I don't know who drinks 120 proof of any spirit neat.
Yeah.
No, I'm not having.
You know
the
who
ice
does?
melted.
It's like crazy whiskey
Yeah,
people.
but
You
I
know,
think I
like
need more ice.
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there, like whiskey people who collect stuff, and they like the high proof stuff is something that
true.
they like. You know, so it's just I don't think it's our jam, but maybe it's somebody else's.
One
Not
of our
my
lizard
thing.
friends, Max, sent us this. He's the one who hooked us up because obviously it said the Senator. So, you know, he messaged me and said, hey, you know, you want to try this? I said, sure. And he tried it as well. He said, you know, you're going to need some water to open it up. It's not great, but, you know, it's
Yeah.
serviceable.
It is.
So, boys, we were supposed to do
Oh, God.
a Haitian rum.
I just realized he's drinking his glass neat.
Is he?
No. It's the ice that melted.
Oh,
did
but
you
that's-
have
It's
it?
that's
ice
Yeah,
that melted.
remember
That's
you-
still very dark. I feel
That-
like he put 1 or 2 chips in there.
That is dark.
yeah.
Yeah, there were 3 chips.
You're very
3
adventurous.
chips, you need like triple that.
a lot of water right there.
There
So-
you go.
He's gonna have a
He's
full
And
pouring
for the
Poland
listeners,
Spring
got like
into his
half
whiskey.
water in there now.
Bring my black label, man.
There you go.
So we were supposed to do a Haitian rum and on the podcast tonight, and we opened it prior to the episode. And I don't even know how to describe what happened in
It
here.
had a dead chicken in it.
Yeah.
It was,
Sorry, that was made by United. in Haiti.
it smelled like skunk. Like
yeah, rotten dairy.
it
Yeah.
smelled like rotten dairy.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Like I think Bam was the only one that actually poured it in a glass.
I tried it.
We opened this
Yeah.
this Haitian rum, and it just when you took the cap out, the cork,
Hmm.
it smelled sour and like wrong.
Yeah.
I can't
never
imagine
experienced
that,
that.
every single bottle of this rum is like that.
Is it a
No, no,
Is
I-
it
This
a
has gotta
well-known?
be bad.
Is this a well-known spirit?
I think it smells
no,
like processed
no
sugar cane. That's exactly what it is.
But that's what rum is, right?
Yeah, but you know how the
something
sugar
is
cane's
wrong.
left out?
Obviously, something.
Like if
is
you go
wrong.
by a
Yeah.
liquor factory, they're a very
But
It's a
not
very
like
unpleasant
that.
smell.
I mean, that was just vile.
No.
I mean, I've been to like the Bacardi factory in Puerto Rico, stuff like that. I mean, nothing quite
No.
smells
It's
like
like
this.
like Bam said, it smelled like bad
Dairy.
like yeah,
Bad
like
dairy.
heavy cream that went bad.
Oh.
yeah.
Maybe there was
horrendous.
something wrong with the bottle, but or maybe just Haitian rum sucks. I mean,
It's very possible. We'll
You
give it
know?
another shot down the road, but we tried to do some rum tonight for you folks, and
yeah.
Let me
It
know when
wasn't
we
happening.
let me know when we do it. I'll stay home.
When you or let me know when there's a decent export out of Haiti. And,
We need to keep
Put me
tabs on
in.
Bam for the next 24 hours. He actually took a sip of it.
I did take a sip.
yeah, he tried it.
It's okay. I
He
got
may have food poisoning.
the ambulance on standby now.
dude, I don't even know if is Haitian rum a thing.
We did a
Yeah, it
Haitian
is.
rum.
Yeah,
we,
we
did.
did a Haitian.
The big brand there is Barbencourt.
Barbencourt, which
Mhm.
wasn't very good.
Yeah, it's like a very,
It's very sweet.
mediocre,
Yeah.
kind of harsh rum.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
But at
mean,
least it smells and tastes like rum. This stuff, I mean, I've never smelled a spirit that. Oh man, it's just.
I'm just not sure what even gets commercialized in general.
Down there.
Yeah, I mean, the place is it's
Apparently, they make cigars.
They do.
I know this because Bam organized a cigar charity event.
That's
and
right.
One of the raffle prizes, it was to benefit Haiti,
That's right.
and one of the raffle prizes I remember was like a box of Haitian cigars.
Yep. I had one and it was like smoking a newspaper.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it all Haitian tobacco?
Apparently, yes.
Oh wow.
and that was one of the
Haitian,
raffle prizes.
Haitian
It
Puro.
was a whole box.
yeah.
That was a wonderful
Wait a
event.
minute.
though.
Didn't
wind
Chef,
up with
didn't
the-
Chef Ricky win that?
He did. So we should ask him.
He now has dementia and a stomachache.
Yeah, so the rye whiskey I think actually pairs pretty decently with the cigar. I don't hate it. There's just really nothing much to say about
No,
it.
you
It's
settle
not,
into it and it's okay.
It's not terribly interesting. It's not offensive.
Senator
but
hasn't had a sip in about an hour, so let's see what he thinks now.
I like rye from time to
I
time.
do too.
I really do, and I actually have there's a distillery which maybe we take a trip to, which is called the Taconic Distillery, which is up in Millbrook, New York.
You've mentioned this before.
Yeah, it's really, they have a lot of great spirits. Some of it's some of this high proof stuff, but some of it's 80 proof. They make bourbon, they make rye. There's a rum that I had from them that I wasn't crazy about, but they make a lot of great stuff. And it's great, and it's only an hour and 10 minutes away, and you can take a tour
Cool.
of the distillery, and they show you around, and it's it's a pretty cool experience, and they sell their line of spirits, mostly bourbon. They make a Scotch style whiskey. They make a bunch of different bourbons. That's really what they're known for, and a rye, a couple different ryes, different proof levels. Nice stuff. I should bring a bottle.
You should bring a bottle in.
To and give it a try. I bought a bottle of the rye, and the recommendation from someone where they were kind of tabling their stuff. They table their line of stuff at certain events. And I was like, I'm like, I've had this. It was like, try the rye, and I tried it, and it was really quite nice.
So bring it in.
And it's relative, it's an approachable price point too. So
I don't think we've had a lot of success with rye in our circle and on the podcast. I know we've done a few that.
There is one I think we should try. I happen to like it. It's Whistle Pig, 12-year.
It's the 10-year.
10-year.
So I've been saying for a while. Again, I'm not a huge
That's
rye
a
guy,
pretty
but
good drink.
That's like one of the most respectable
It's
ryes
good.
that like is super popular. It's the Whistle Pig 10.
It's got a red label on it.
Yep.
Very nice.
I had mentioned this many episodes ago, and I think Grinder picked up the 6-year. It's like the
that was
piggyback or something. We hated it. It was rough.
Yeah, that wasn't
But
good.
we need to try the 10-year. That's
That
the
got a
one that everybody-
6.8, by the way.
Yes.
Didn't we do Angel's Envy? Like, that's one of my favorite ryes.
I don't remember doing that.
It was a bit sweet.
I thought we did the bourbon.
We did
the rye?
Angel's Envy Rye. They got a 7.5.
Oh, there you go.
I see.
Yeah, the Whistle Pig's worth trying.
Is it just that rye whiskey doesn't pair well with cigars?
No, I just
Or are
think
we picking the
rye
wrong
is,
ones?
Rye
Yeah.
is usually like a strong, bold whiskey.
Got it.
So I just think that, you have to pair it with the right cigar. Like, ironically, this VSG is full flavored. So this to me can hold up to a rye. I just think this is a fairly uninteresting rye. It's not that bad. There you go. Pooba's got the Whistle Pig.
it's the Whistle Pig small batch 10-year.
I've had that many times.
So we've just chosen the wrong ones.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, so we need to dive into that. Listeners out there, if you're whiskey fanatics and you love ryes and you have them with cigars, please shoot us an email. We love listener recommendations, cigars, whiskeys, scotch, everything. Please send us recommendations because we're always looking for new stuff to try.
We should try the Whistle Pig small batch 10-year.
100%.
Agree. And the other thing with rye, it's like it's so flavorful and bold.
Mhm.
It's like great for mixing cocktails. Like a
Great.
lot of, there are tons of people who prefer like a rye Manhattan or
Correct.
that paper plain cocktail I've talked about. That's whiskey based. A lot of bartenders will make it with rye instead of bourbon.
Correct.
So it's also got a lot of utility there.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of a drier finish.
Yeah.
And so when you add in like in an old fashioned, when I used to drink old fashions more like often, I'd use bitters, and the way I would make it is 1 sugar cube, and then you muddle the sugar cube with like 3-4 shots of bitters, and a little bit of orange
Peel,
rind.
Right.
Not the just the rind. You take some off and you muddle that together, and that actually.
I feel like what
that
you're
makes
saying right
for
now would
a
go
really
really
good-
great with this
good-
cigar.
Yeah, it really
good-
would.
It sounds awesome.
It really comes out terrific.
I want one
and,
now.
like and
Now.
I would like one right now.
Yeah, and you know what I was thinking about too. Moving forward, and we can talk about this is doing is making some cocktails. You know,
Yeah.
we're reviewing spirits, but
You still owe us a Bloody Mary
and-
day.
Yes,
I
you
wanted
do.
to say.
And
Yes.
I owe a paper plane.
I want that paper. I've been
you
asking
know,
about that
so
for a while.
I'd be willing
You
to
have,
make
Bam.
I'd be willing to make old fashions with either bourbon or rye and do it the way I do it.
Aldo Manhattan.
and
Um,
Pagoda's the
we know
Manhattan
Pagoda
man.
is the Manhattan master.
and you know how to make Manhattan. So I do think that, you know, that
I'm-
would be good. And also, by
I'm
the
getting
way,
very excited, by the way.
Did we
know.
just elevate the podcast?
I think we
I
just
had-
I
did.
think we did.
yeah,
I think
and
we're all going to need Ubers for those episodes.
exactly. And I know that a lot of you got some people in the room have an aversity to gin. And I would argue that, like, I had this Monkey 47 gin on when I was down in Florida for a couple of weeks, the last couple of weeks before this. And a properly made, so if you have a gin that's, let's say it's 90 proof, but a properly made like gin martini where you're actually cutting that strength with good vermouth, quality vermouth, where it's a real martini, and you stir it with the ice, you know, you're cutting that proof level, you know, out.
Yeah.
And not like bastardizing the spirit, the gin, so that current comes through, those flavors come through. And I happen to love a gin martini. I mean, it's way more flavorful than a vodka martini.
I
It's
agree.
the traditional
Yeah,
martini.
I totally agree.
So like, I love a gin martini, and actually I think it's a very palate cleansing like experience with a gin martini. They're great like before dinner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that would be interesting to explore. I also think that the Negroni, that Campari based cocktails like a Negroni is an interesting thing to explore. Now that's a little bit bitter. I don't know
I'm
how
in.
well it would go with cigar,
I
but
had a Negroni this weekend. I love those drinks.
well, I love Campari.
Oh my god!
I mean, I love Campari.
So
I love Negronis. I love gin Negroni.
Oh,
The traditional gin Negroni with the sweet vermouth and
off the
Campari,
charts.
and the sweet and the bitter. It's just,
See, here's my
you know.
problem with the gin martini. I just think that I've had very pedestrian versions of them. I don't think I've ever had like a really well made by
Well,
like a proper bartender. I don't think I've had an
you got to order the right gin.
because I feel like it's easy to fake or nail a vodka martini, but I've never had a gin martini that I've really wanted to
So a
get
you
a
Hendrix.
have
second
to
one.
use high quality vermouth.
Yeah.
You have to stir it, not shake it. Stir it in a martini pitcher. Do you know what I mean? With the requisite amount of ice. You need to use vermouth that's not spoiled. Vermouth is a fortified wine, whether it's sweet or dry vermouth. 99% of bars keep their vermouth on a shelf and
Yep.
they don't refrigerate it. Now you can open it up and keep it in your bar for a couple of weeks, but after that, you should open it and put it in the fridge, and then it'll stay in the fridge for like 3 months.
And by the way, Pooba, you did advise me that a very long time ago, and now that's all I do.
And how much better do your cocktails
Way better,
taste?
and they last longer, and it's great.
Yeah, and it's great. And I recommend buying small bottles of vermouth, not the huge ones, unless you know you're serving huge crowds. And
We got to do this.
I want to do
We
it.
gotta
I'm
do
ready.
this.
Ready.
So
Right,
we
sure.
got to do some mixed drinks. You have to do a paper plane for us,
Yep,
Senator.
I do.
You've been
Manhattan
talking
over
about
here.
that for a long time. Manhattan from Pagoda
I
and
almost
gin
think
martinis.
these
from
And it
Pagoda.
cocktails
needs
are
to
like
be
myths
served in a-
because they talk about it, but they never produce it.
That's
so it's
true.
like-
yeah, and
Doesn't
we
even
need to
exist.
It's
serve
like
them
it's
in
like
the right-
Bam's Tower.
And I think the right.
I used to have it in.
Sorry,
You're never going to live that
it
down.
was just too easy.
You're never going to live that down, Bam.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Totally, but those are a properly made. I always appreciate if you walk into, there's certain bars where you can just tell they have a cocktail program, and I'm perfectly willing, to pay a premium for a well-made cocktail.
Yeah.
Because so many of them are made so poorly. I mean, if you go up the street over here you ask for an old fashioned, I mean, you forget it. You're getting something that's a disgrace. You know what I'm saying? They take a whole piece of orange and they put it in.
Tell me about your first world problems.
Exactly right.
Let me hear more.
That's
Another elitist in the room.
Can I just say, we need to get these two guys. We need to create a Lounge Lizard channel.
hey.
We need to do a Lounge Lizard channel, and they could do a travel podcast. The two of
That's right.
these two guys be
It's
perfect.
like, it's like a wrestling match. They got 2 points reverse.
But it'd be domestic and international for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, boys, what do you think of the cigar?
It's a nice cigar.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
No complaints.
It's definitely full now
Oh yeah.
for me.
Yeah.
I must say I enjoyed like the first half more than the second half. of the
Agreed.
I think that's most
Agreed.
people,
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it was more medium, I think, in the first half.
Mhm.
It's picked up in strength, definitely.
Yeah. Still smooth.
But
Still
it's
nice.
still good. Yeah.
I'll say, I mean, I think I've been smoking this slower just because I had to recount the whole United story. But I think for some reason, just smoking this slowly, it's maintained more of the flavor. Where I worry when this heats up, you start to it like the flavor kind of gets muddled a little bit. So I'm still at this point very much enjoying the flavor profile.
Yeah, and we're ahead of you. The 3 or 4 of us. It's still quite pleasant.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. It just
It-
changes.
it's an
It
easy
does
smoke
change.
for sure.
And that's a good
it's-
point about smoking slowly. I mean, we've talked about that on the podcast that smoking slower, it changes how much the cigar heats up, how fast it's burning, keeps it cooler. I mean, it definitely affects the flavor.
Yeah.
No
For
question.
sure. No, for sure. It's this very serviceable cigar.
Mhm.
I think.
Do you
You're
think
gonna-
do you think it's worth $21?
Oh, for sure. For sure, it's worth $21 considering what we pay for
Yeah,
other
for
things,
a Cuban
and,
petite
and,
Corona.
and given the size,
The
you
size, I
know,
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a fair price.
It's a good deal.
I think it's a fair price. So it's the only question you need to ask yourself in this size, because I think we all agree that the blend is really good. It's consistent with the Illusion blend. I mean, it's very consistent in terms of the flavor profile. It's just a question of, do I want this much of this? Do I want this much of this, as opposed to maybe the Lonsdale?
So let me ask. That actually tees up something I was just going to ask: is how would you compare? And I'm curious to ask this for the entire room. How do you compare this to the Lonsdale experience as far as flavor?
I just don't know if I want. I'm going to smoke this whole cigar, and I'm going to let it. There's nothing offensive, or there's nothing happening here that is to me that says that's really negative at all. It's way more positive than negative. It's just, do I want as much of this for as long as this is? If you like this, you will. It's just your appetite. So I think in the Lonsdale, for me, my appetite for this kind of a flavor profile, like in that size, maybe works a little bit better for me. But for somebody else who wants just that little extra 20 minutes,
Or someone that likes a larger ring
or
gauge
likes a
cigar.
larger ring gauge,
Size
gauge
matters.
cigars, size
Yeah,
matters.
it
Yeah,
does.
so it's like to each his own.
What do you guys think about the size?
It's fine.
I like the
It's,
size.
it's not offensive.
I'm not a huge fan of torpedoes in general.
No?
So
Wow.
What?
I like Robustos.
Really?
What is this like?
I
This
love
is like an
torpedoes.
awakening here. What?
What did they
no, I
call
don't-
that on the
No.
Howard Stern show when people had with secrets, like the reveal? It's like, what was that called? Come on, help me
No
out,
junior
kids.
mints.
Help
No
me out, 'cause
torpedoes.
It was like, what the hell did they call that?
It was when he went to Sirius and they all had their
reveal.
they revealed their deep
their
secrets.
deep secrets.
Yeah, some of them were pretty wild. But
Right.
yes, that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Yeah, I don't own a lot of torpedoes.
It's
You
true.
like Bellicoso. You smoked the BBF.
A little bit. I don't have that much.
I see.
But that's
Surprise.
a Bellicoso, not not
I
too many.
know.
Oh,
It's
you're
in the same
splitting
Potato, potato.
in the
You're
family.
splitting hairs a little bit here, guy. I mean,
That's
come
a
on.
Bellicoso,
This-
not a-
You got that guy?
We got another guy.
That's a Bellicoso. So you mean on a torpedo, the taper is straight as opposed to on a Bellicoso where it's, I mean, this is like comparing.
You went pretty detailed about gin and all of this stuff. It's the same thing with cigars. Some people prefer certain shapes.
Okay.
I'm not a huge fan of torpedoes.
Okay.
But you're a fan of Bellicosos.
It's okay. I don't have that many bellicosas, but yeah,
I mean, that's silly. to
That's
me.
really splitting hairs.
I don't have a lot of bellicosas. I don't have a lot of.
I know. To me, they're
BBFs,
effectively the
BBFs.
same thing.
It's like
BBFs,
I don't
have
like Hermosos, but I like Robustos.
Right.
I don't have a lot of BBFs. I mean,
No, that's
just
fine.
don't.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I did just the shape conversation I got
Yeah.
thrown off by, but
So, Senator,
I-
what about for you with the illusion versus this?
yeah, I will say so. I am realizing that I prefer this in a larger ring gauge.
Really?
I've
That's
just had
surprising.
too
That
many
surprises
issues.
me.
Yeah, I've just had too many issues with tar with that smaller ring gauge and just a tight draw. This is zero issue whatsoever. I mean, it's the construction on this has been excellent.
Yeah.
Now, what Puba said resonates with me in the sense that this is a long cigar and a large ring gauge, and so it is a bit more of this than I necessarily want in a sitting. So my takeaway is I want to try this in, I assume they make a Robusto, where this would be a bit shorter than this, similar ring gauge, but even a little smaller. And I think that probably would be right at the size that I would want. But I very much like this cigar. It's just like Puba said, it's a bit of a commitment. And the Lonsdale, I just have too many draw issues where I would.
It's
I
a good.
prefer-
It's a good blend.
It is.
Yeah, the blend is good.
And they've been using the same blend with the same proprietary wrapper, which apparently comes from the Oliva factory, since 1999. They haven't changed it
It
since
says
then.
a lot. I mean,
says a lot.
It says a lot. It's a good blend. I mean, it's a solid smoke. It's just, I think when you're choosing the Vitola, how much of it do you want?
But it would be nice to see some other combinations of maybe different blends, come out with some new stuff. You know,
Yeah, it's like Budweiser. I mean, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? Or like a like when if you had to drink one Sam Adams, which one are you going to drink forever?
The summer ale.
Oh, okay.
He's like, oh.
I
So
guess.
to
That
answer-
analogy, but I mean, you know what I mean? It's like,
To answer your question, by the way, on the different sizes in this line, I'll go through them really quick. So there's a Robusto 54 ring gauge by 5 inch. So not a classic Robusto at 50. It's 54 by 5. There's a Corona, which is an interesting size too. 44 ring gauge by 4.3
that
inches.
could be interesting.
But 4.3 inches, that's a short Corona.
Yeah.
That's real short. There's the Lonsdale that we did called the Illusion. It's 44 ring gauge by 6.5. There's the Corona Gorda, which is 46 by a little under 6 inches long.
That may be nice.
There is a classic Robusto, excuse me. So there's two Robustos. There's the Pegasus, which is the 54 by 5, and there's a classic Robusto, which
50.
is 50 by 5.5, a little longer. There's a Bellicoso, 52 by 5.2 inches. And then there's what they call the Enchantment, which is a Perfecto, 60 ring gauge, of course, at its
Well, that's what,
at its center, but it's a Perfecto by 4.3 inches. There's a Churchill 49 ring gauge by 7 inches. The Torpedo we're smoking tonight, which is 55 by 6.5. They have a Toro, which comes in a Tubo, 52 by 6. I mean, it just goes on and on. A Presidente, 54 by 7.5, guys. And then there's a Gordo wrapping it up, 56 by 6.
so people clearly like that. I mean,
They must sell a ton of these cigars.
Wow.
I mean, what was that? 10, 12 different Vitolas in the line?
Cool.
Pretty
Some
crazy.
something for
People
everyone.
like big ring gauge cigars. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of a fact.
It is.
But you know what? This 55 for me works because it's a Torpedo.
do you like
and
this-
that's
You hear
where-
that? You hear that, Rooster?
That's that's what counters what Rooster said for me. That's why I like a Torpedo is you have a bigger ring gauge cigar, even in Cuban cigars, you have a bigger ring gauge cigar, but you're getting the mouthfeel of a Corona or something smaller.
do you like the Lonsdale better than this?
I think I like the Lonsdale better than this because I don't feel like I've had the tar blast issues that Senator had as consistently.
I'm right there
But
with
you know
by
what?
the way.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
because when we did it, I think we did have. So I'm used to cutting these twice. Like I'm
yeah.
preemptively doing that.
You got to
so-
be cognizant of the ring gauge and just take a little bit more off the top.
Yeah, and I think that some cigars are more prone to it than others.
I've never
I mean,
had that experience with the Lonsdale.
It's just odd. But I mean, obviously, hearing this now, I'm definitely probably going to take more off when I smoke those. But I've just kind of given it a standard cut, not thought about it. And then I'm getting down further and I'm noticing that there's tar and it's disappointing.
So, I mean, going back to like, if I don't like too many torpedoes, like if you cut the torpedo that much, it's not really a torpedo.
It becomes a robusto.
It becomes a robusto.
Yeah, but you don't cut it that much. This is look at the shape here. If I would have went down to here, then it would be much wider.
Right,
this is
right.
like a
It's
perfect
a little bit of a
like,
taper.
This
It would
is
unravel.
You
probably
got to
48,
cut it
49.
above the cap, above
Yeah.
the line, or it's going to start to open up.
Yeah.
So Pagoda, you said you prefer this Vitola over the Lonsdale.
I haven't had many of those.
Hmm.
But I do like holding the cigar the way it is and the feel. But I also like Toros, and I like a slightly bigger range cigar, bigger ring range cigar.
Ring gauge.
Ring gauge. All right. I think this is what of a 55 proof. Can I is it a rum or a whiskey? I have no idea. now.
Bartender, close them out.
Yeah, no, I was about to. Can I refresh your drink?
Although, but with the water, it has really improved. in the
Opened up,
flavor
yeah.
profile.
You poured half of the bottle of Poland Spring in there.
Well, water
I'll
flavor.
say this: looking at the color of his glass, it does not look like there's a lot of
Dude,
water. It's got a
it's
dark. Look at the
Still very dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
are.
it's great. It's great.
Wow.
Listen.
So, boys, I don't know if we talked about it. I might have sent it on the chat, but did you guys see that someone without license took our man Pagoda's name and put it on a cigar? Did you guys hear about this?
Do we get a royalty from this?
That's what I wanted to ask Pagoda. Is there a side deal we're not aware of here?
He may be getting checks in the mail that we don't know about.
Listen, the contract's on the way.
So we're talking about the Cigar Dojo puts out a special cigar every year with an exclusive online sale with smoke-in cigars. They've totally sold out,
Wow.
but they put out what's called the Pagoda 2023. And in classic Pagoda fashion, it's a Toro 48 ring gauge by 6 inches.
There you go.
Cobra Kai never die.
Nice.
Came
Pagoda.
came out in 10 count bundles, but when I saw this, I was like, wow, they took our man's name and put it on a cigar.
Well, my next nut.
We got to get you a gi.
What's a
Get
gi?
A gi? A gi is a
You know what
it's
gi
a-
is.
It's a karate outfit.
It's a heavy butter that you cook with.
Clarified butter.
That's my type of gi.
It's the karate top and bottom. Bring you in here. You could do some kata. Some.
So I tried to get some of those cigars first, by the way, for the novelty of it, but they sold out. So unfortunately, they were up and down. They only sold 1,500 cigars, but all Nicaraguan. I think it might have been interesting, but unfortunately,
What do
they're
you
all
want
gone.
my next line to be called?
That's a good question.
The Pagoda 2024.
No,
The
it's
Pagoda
going to be
Shank.
somebody else's name over here.
Yeah, the shank. I like
The
that.
shank.
Shank.
The Shank 2024.
Wax on, wax off. The paint fence line.
So Pooba, we mentioned this earlier in the episode. You have to tell this story. You sent us a video of about 20 white-tailed deer walking through your front yard with various fruits and vegetables lined up on a
Retaining wall.
on your retaining wall
And chocolates, probably.
with Andy's candies.
Yeah.
What is going on here
Well,
at the house?
well, my wife's an artist, and artists love nature,
Nature lover.
and she has a bird feeder, and it actually goes outside the window. She watches the birds. The birds come, their seed, and then they actually come up to the window, and you can see it's like a ceramic bird feeder, and it's out. It's pretty. It's actually kind of cool because the birds come up, and you're just like sitting eating breakfast, and you're looking like a cardinal in the eye. That I don't mind. But she enjoys to watch the mother rabbit and the baby rabbit, and the mother deer, and then the baby deer that come by, and so she puts out lettuce, and she'll make like a Caesar salad. And
Wow.
then she'll take
So
like the
whatever's left
ends
over from your lunch, she
from
puts
the
out
thing.
there.
Yeah, and or she'll chop some carrots.
No, whatever's left from
things
there
like
goes
that,
to Pooba.
and she- That's right. Correct. Right, yes,
Hey,
well,
honey, your lunch is outside.
lunch is outside.
Hurry up, the deer are eating it.
It's on the retaining wall, and And then she lines up, like lettuce pieces, carrots, and various other vegetables, remnants, and like that you would use for compost or something. And she lines them up on this retaining wall, and then she sits outside and watches. She'd be like, I'll be sitting there with her. She'd be like, "Come on." She'd be like, "Come on, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Come. She'd just be like, she'd be like, the mother, the one with the hurt leg, the one I'm talking about. And I'd be like, yes, I do. The one with the leg. I mean, there's this one deer that has a leg that's been injured for like years.
I heard that deer had an accident in Oakland.
Yeah.
At the rooster compound.
Yeah.
Attempted choking.
Yeah. Rooster took a mini bat from the Yankee game.
Not to a deer.
To a deer's leg. But anyway, and that's what she does, is she sits out and she watches these deer. So I'm out there and I see that this is a copious amount of bait that she's put out. And I'm just saying to myself, and they're destroying shit all over my property without the bait. You know what I mean? And now the bait's
they don't need the bait.
They don't need the bait. Did you
No.
see them going crazy in that little video? They're like running. It's like a herd, they're like, and they're freaking. I got bucks, does, baby Bambis with the spots on them. I don't know, and then there's the bunnies. She really likes the bunnies. And then the bunnies come, and then the baby bunnies, there's a groundhog, so there's the groundhog that comes.
So how much is admission
and
price
there's
to
foxes.
Puba Zoo?
Right. So there's a fox, and a fox with babies. There's a groundhog.
But the raccoons are a
the
problem.
raccoons I got rid of. Of course, you can never get rid of all raccoons. They're just they roam. But the raccoons I did call Horizon Pest Control, horizonpestcontrol.com. I highly endorse them. If you live in northern New Jersey, horizonpestcontrol.com. They'll come out. They'll come out and trap them. So we got the raccoons off the property, but she likes to watch these animals.
So here's my
what am I supposed to
Can
say?
I just ask a question?
What am I going to put my foot down?
Is she vegetarian? Is that what you're going to ask?
No, I mean,
No.
if the raccoons are a problem, why are you putting bait out there? They're clearly going to come for it.
Well, that's when
Are you
BB
asking me to like engage in like a productive dialogue around this issue with my wife? I mean, like this is the battle that I'm going to pick.
No, you're not.
I mean, no. These are creatures that like that just live on the property anyway. I figure, they're already destroying things. I mean, they're so prolific, these deer. There's so many of them. There's a whole trail that goes through the whole neighborhood. The entire neighborhood is. There's
It's
nothing you
gotten worse.
can do about
There's
it.
a lot of white.
I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
We need to start killing them. I'm sorry.
I don't
Yeah.
disagree. I mean, I think that they're dangerous on a number of levels. One,
Ticks.
Lyme disease is not a joke. Two,
Car
they destroy
accidents.
property, and
Yeah.
3, car accidents. I mean, in my opinion, I know over in Saddle River, they actually opened up a couple of times. They said if you have a bow, there were so many. I mean, they were hitting. It got to a point where they were running, and like the police officers were hitting so many deer, and it was damaging like cop cars.
That's
Wow.
crazy. Man.
That like they were like we got to do something. They were like, well, if you have, they would open it up, and I mean, there were protests and things like that. But it was like they were like, if you see a deer in your backyard and you want to, whatever, take it down during deer season with a bow. You
I
can
can't take
it
down
with
a
bow.
tree in my yard without my town approving it, let alone take a bow and arrow to a deer.
Yeah. So I mean,
I would love to see, by the way, Senator in his boat shoes
with an axe.
with
Oh,
a,
yeah.
with a bow.
In high school, I had to do archery. I could be dangerous.
Yeah,
with a bow and
I
arrow.
could see him
Yeah,
like
he went to Ridgewood Bow Academy.
Exactly.
Where is that?
What?
I could
There's
picture
an
him like
archery school in Ridgewood.
Mr. Joshua from Lethal Weapon with a crossbow and like a scope and just
Yeah.
But then you gotta you kill a deer. I mean, there's a lot of work to do if you kill a deer. To do it legally, you gotta really.
Have you ever seen deer vomit?
Yeah, it's
It's like
disgusting.
toxic waste.
Yes.
It's like
It
bright
smells like that rum
colored
we opened.
toxic waste. It doesn't smell actually really, but it just looks so bizarre. So I've solved for my deer problem with deer spray. About once a month, I just take this little canister thing and just spray like all the plants and shrubs on the perimeter of the property.
And it works?
And it's totally changed their patterns. But every now and then, some dumb deer decides to cross the barrier and start chomping away on something. And the very next morning I come out and it's just like
Vomit.
neon green or neon or like orange, like
Jesus.
bright orange vomit right next to like one of the shrubs, and then they don't come back.
Man,
So
we
it
are
does work.
covering it all on this episode.
Oh,
We had
yeah.
food poisoning, deer vomit.
Oh,
We've
yeah.
really covered the whole gamut.
What's the product? What do you use?
I forget something on Amazon.
Is it peppermint?
No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work.
It's got to be minted chocolate,
mint.
Junior Mint.
I
They
think
use
it might,
a lot of mint.
Of course it was mint.
I think
I've
it's like cayenne.
just put some peppermint patties in.
You know, Kramer just had a heart attack because he loves Junior Mint.
I think it's like the
Peppermint and
equivalent of them
chocolate.
eating like a pepper spray or cayenne or something.
The stuff smells awful that you
It's
spray.
like
but
fox urine.
No, it's just called liquid fence, deer and rabbit
Liquid.
repellent. And it smells awful for like a few hours and then the smell kind of clears. But it really does work. I mean, I'm not kidding. They do not mess with my yard anymore. If you look at my back lawn, you remember I went off on this because back lawn, beautifully green, and the deer urine just kills the grass right away. The entirety of my back lawn was basically shot. Everything's green right now.
It's like big yellow spots.
Huge
all
yellow
over.
spots.
Everybody's lawn looks like Augusta right now
It does.
because of all the rain. It's
Yeah.
been the greatest year for lawns in the history of rain and lawns. It's just unbelievable the
Yeah,
amount of water and
I like it.
And I was going to give credit to my landscaper. Please.
no.
It's Mother Nature.
Speaking of landscaping, I don't know if your towns are doing this. My town is trying to ban gas leaf blowers.
Yes.
And I got a letter from my landscaper trying to get people to oppose it. They said that they'd have to spend $80,000 to try to comply with this, and they're going to pass it on, obviously, to the customer. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I mean, sure, I have personally an electric leaf blower. That's because I don't blow most of my stuff. I have landscapers. It's just if I need to clean up the deck or something, I just take it out. It's so much easier to do that. But landscape, how the hell are they going to blow all these properties with these batteries? I mean, I can barely blow my deck and like the front of my house with a leaf blower without having to recharge it.
I don't. I see both sides of the issue because I can't tell you how many Saturdays, and I'm on a 2-acre lot. And I'm on, and I can't tell you how many Saturdays I've sat out and just hear, and it's all fucking day with machines. I mean, and it starts in the morning and it doesn't end
Until
until
9, yeah.
until it gets dark out. It's constant.
Yep.
And they're super loud.
So wait, let me ask a question. Is it
it's a noise.
it's a
thing.
noise thing or is
Yeah.
it an environmental thing?
No, it's a noise.
It's
thing.
both, but primarily noise.
Oh, okay.
The noise. I mean, the level of machines.
Yeah,
That go off. I mean, you can't even like. Let's say you were to have a party on a Saturday, and you're like, I'd like to hire like a band, whatever it is, a rock band, a jazz band, a fucking quartet, a fucking acoustic guy, fucking singing Jimmy Buffett, whatever it is. Or have people over. Your whole fucking day is completely ruined by landscapers. You have to do it on a Sunday. I'm not lying. So I can't tell you how many times I've sat around and been like, oh my God, I can't even have a fucking, I'm going to sit down. I just want to relax. And it's like for fucking hours on end.
All right, so Pooba's in support of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not in support
Don't tell your
of it.
landscaper.
No, I'm not in support of it because I fucking hate regulation and the government telling businesses what to do and making them spend all this money. And no. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's like I can live with landscaping noise. I'm okay, but is it annoying?
Sure.
I just think maybe they
Yes.
should adjust like the hours or something that they can
Right.
use it. Like
Yeah.
I couldn't believe when I was driving here to record this podcast, some guy, it's the evening, right? It is not when you should be doing anything loud. Some guy's mowing his lawn at like 8 o'clock at night. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Kids are going to sleep.
Well,
like,
actually,
what are you
you're
doing?
not supposed to do that. Like, there are laws about
There are.
There are laws about when they need to, like, professional landscapers need to stop. Now, you can't stop.
But they never follow it because there's also a law as far as when it's supposed to start, so that it's not too early. Like,
true.
no one on a Saturday when
True.
like some people without little
So
kids
they
like
should
me
not
sleep
allow
in.
on the weekends. They should just do it on the weekdays.
Yeah,
but
I
no,
guess, but you're taking now capacity. I mean,
yeah, he's not wrong.
I feel for the service provider because that's a hard business. I have friends in the landscaping business, and it's a hard business. It's not, it's a tough business.
Sure.
Like any business. And I just think that, like, now to force them to go to, I think there's certain machines, like the weed whackers and the leaf blowers are so loud. It's actually a different sound that's more grating than like a lawnmower.
It's true.
You know what I mean? Where it's
it's just such a higher pitch. The frequency is so much higher.
Chainsaws
It just grates
are-
on your ears.
Chainsaws are worse.
Yeah, it's the small motors. The smaller the engine is, the higher the pitch, Sounds like Senator's bill's going up.
I don't want it to pass. One, I don't need to pay any more than I already do for landscaping. And
Exactly.
two, I'm just like, I have an electric leaf blower. It's not nearly as effective as a real powerful gas leaf blower. It works for me because I'm not doing the heavy work like those guys are. I'm just, making the deck look nice if I'm going to have company. There's not leaves and crap everywhere. I just don't know how they're supposed to do that job with electric. It's just not possible.
They would make commercial versions of these things.
But they don't exist right now. That's the problem. In the letter I got from my landscaper, they were saying the technology's not yet there for these commercial grade electric ones for it to be as effective. It's going to take them so much longer to try to get these jobs done.
That's correct. Yeah, I can't imagine. That's true because, the leaf blow during the fall cleanups in the Northeast here. I mean, can you imagine the fall cleanup? I mean, what they got to do on my fucking lawn is ridiculous. I mean, you've got guys with tarps. I mean, it's insanity. I mean, it's totally insane. You can't move that many leaves. Plus, once it gets wet, they still got to clean. Like, so let's say you have a rainy fall season.
Exactly. Good luck getting wet leaves up.
Good luck getting, moving leaves that are like a little bit damp. They still got to move the leaves. They got to get them to the street.
Yep.
For the municipality to pick them up. So how the hell are they going to do that with a battery? So I don't think that can really actually is even possible, to your point.
I don't know what's going on in California, but I'm sure they have to rake the leaves there. I'm sure electric's not even allowed.
Yeah, you need 19 people to rake a fucking 120 by 120 front lawn. You know what I'm saying?
So, boys, I have a listener question I wanted to pose to you guys because I've actually had a few listeners ask a similar question, and it's come up a few times. So I wanted to pose it to the group. So Lizard Seagull writes, "Hey guys, I'm catching up on older episodes. I listened to them back and forward. Finished 43 and 44 today. We really love Shelley's Backroom. Shout out Senator. Every time we're in DC, it's a must stop. That's the lounge, pretty much the only lounge in DC, right, where you could smoke.
That's right.
That Senator endorses emphatically. He says it's ironic in the middle of madness, in parentheses Congress, one can have a nice dinner and then a cigar." And then he goes on to ask,
And great hours there, by the way.
landscaping hours.
On a weeknight, they close at 2 a.m. on a weeknight.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So he wanted to ask, he said, "I'd be interested in a survey. How many sticks do the Lounge Lizard podcast guys enjoy, a week or a month?" And he wanted to also pose that to listeners. And what's interesting is when I got thinking about that, it's like my habits certainly change seasonally and with work and whatnot, but I'm curious for you guys, what do you think the average amount of cigars you're smoking in a given week is? And I want to pose that to the listeners as well. We'll put this up in the Instagram, but I'm curious, how many cigars a week are you smoking?
15 to 20 a week.
I agree. 15 to 20.
But 2 a day. On the weekends, it's about 3.
Wow. Okay.
About that.
I think every time we sit down, we smoke 3 or 4.
Yeah.
We do.
When I smoke at home by myself, I usually only smoke 2.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably do that 3 nights a week. And then when we get together, we pod, we'll do 4 or 5 in a podcast night. And then, when we're together, otherwise it's 3 or 4 usually. So I'm probably in the 10 to 15 range. If we don't podcast or we're not together, it's certainly probably closer to 6 to 8 a week. But that's for me. What about you guys?
I'm averaging about 8 to 10 a week.
Okay.
Unless we're sitting where we can do 5 at one sitting in one evening easy.
Yeah, because we'll record the podcast and then we'll
That's
go to the lounge
2,
and have a couple more.
2 or 3, depending. Yeah.
What about you, Senator?
It's been weird. I think it's a number of factors, but my consumption of cigars has actually decreased a bit, probably in the last 6 months. Safely 10 to 15, where before, I mean, easily 15 to 20, like Rooster said, sometimes even more than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's honestly, it's like sad as I think. I wish it was more, but reliably 10 to 15.
You're not smoking that much at home now because of the child.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And the other thing is, like, I think when he was first born, he napped so much. It was so easy to just keep slipping out in the afternoon to have a cigar. It's like now, I mean, I get, if I'm lucky, 2 hours on a Saturday that I'm free, that he's actually napping, either an hour in the morning, hour in late afternoon, or like one long 2-hour nap. And that's it. He's up and, he wants to play. So it's just harder to find that time.
Yeah.
I mean,
What about you, Pooba?
I'm in an office every day, so, I used to during COVID, I could take my computer or something like that and work and, sneak a smoke in during the day, and work at the same time. That's not possible. Hasn't been possible for a long time. So I'd probably say, depending on the weather and everything like that, I probably have during the week, like 3, and then I'll have, I'll have maybe one every other night. Because some nights I don't have the time. I have, I'm too tired, whatever it is. But on the weekends, I'll generally have like 2 a day. Like on Saturday and Sunday, I'll have 2 or 3 in a day. It just depends on what I'm doing. Like it's just variable. If I'm in Florida, I'll smoke more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I'm by myself and I have the patio. I mean, I'm definitely smoking like at least 2 cigars, a night probably. When I'm down there, 1 at a minimum. When I get back from the office, I'll have 1, but sometimes 1's enough depending on the size. So, I mean, it really just depends. But on weekends, sometimes I'm playing golf, and sometimes when I play golf, if I play golf, I don't like, a lot of people like to smoke a cigar when they play golf. I don't really like to do it because it's like I'm focused on the round of golf, and I don't really feel like actually handling a cigar. It's like not my thing. I generally don't do that. Or if I'm shooting clays or something like that, I'm not smoking. With my kids, it's like,
to your point though, to me, like cigar smoking, I can't like casually do it. Like I can't just do it in addition to something else, like maybe working or something that's quiet. If I'm in the car, maybe with someone, like fine. But for me, like to your point, I don't see, if I was a golfer or fishing or some other sort of hobby,
I'm with
lighting
you.
up a cigar, I just don't think I could do it.
I'm with you there.
Because like I want to focus on what I'm doing.
I focus on what I'm doing, and I think that's a big point of it. Like, and sometimes I'm just too distracted to be able to focus and enjoy.
I was just gonna say, when Gizmo said I can't see doing it for some of these kind of during some of these hobbies, I will say fishing and smoking cigars is really great.
Oh,
Really?
I've never done
Because fishing is so quiet and relaxed. There's nothing loud or distracting about fishing. So I just love the idea. And also, most of the time you fish, you don't catch anything. So it's like the idea of just like sitting there, you have a line cast, and you're just enjoying a cigar. That for me, if you're having a day where you're not actually catching much at all, it just, you feel like you've lost nothing. You're like getting to sit there and appreciate the cigar while still attempting to, enjoy fishing. So I think it works really well for that. I can see for golf, like if you're a good golfer and you just really, you want to play a good round, you're not able to, you don't want to be distracted by a cigar and touching it up and all this. It's just not, I totally get that. For me, as someone who doesn't golf very much, like if I go to the range, which hasn't happened in a long time, but when I used to do it, I love the idea of having a cigar, but that's because like I'm not a good golfer and I'm just there to have fun. So like I'm not in the same zone as like when you're playing a round of golf.
Sure.
So kind of different time, different
Yeah,
place.
no, I look forward to getting a batch of work done and then going outside and having a cigar. I look forward to that. So I kind of set that goal for the day.
Yeah, you like work to have a cigar.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I played a round of golf today. I smoked 4. two in the front 9, two in the back 9.
Nice.
Lizard, I love it.
Very nice.
Very lizard-like.
No, but it's not that. You know
awesome.
what's really funny is that a lot of the guys over there today were smoking cigars, meaning different quality cigars. But that's not the point. The point is they're indulging, right? It's you grabbing beer. It's like we started a round of golf at 10. Some people don't start drinking alcohol till 12 p.m. But the guys today, we all had beers
There's a
at
big
10.
difference.
Oh yeah.
No, but you know,
Those 2 hours.
No, but it's like I was having beers and cigars this morning. I had a coffee
At 6 a.m.
I think I
You sent a picture,
I
yeah.
sent a picture this morning at 10.
Yeah.
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 So it depends. Yeah. But you know, the way I look at it is that I will smoke 4 to 5 nights a week, I think. You know, the weeks average sometimes even 6 and 7, right? But if you're doing 2 to 3 cigars every time you're sitting down, I think 12 to 18 may be the right
right
range
number.
for me.
So the other thing that plays into this too that I found interesting, and it goes to what Puba was saying about the change from COVID to now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think all of us, maybe aside from Rooster, I don't know if your habit has changed very much, you know, during COVID or after, but for me, certainly during COVID, I was smoking way more cigars. Way Puba
more.
as well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think all
Even
of us
Rooster was.
were. You know,
Yeah,
so
probably. But I usually never smoke like 2 back to back.
yeah, you always wait. Yeah.
I know, but
smoke.
I just remember during COVID, several nights with Rooster, and Rooster's like, I can't believe this. I've had like 4 cigars today. He was just like shocked. And I was like, that's what we do every day.
Yeah, it's the company.
So the reason why I mentioned that is I saw this in Cigar Aficionado, that Scandinavian Tobacco Group, which is one of the largest in the world, they own General Cigar, which, you know, they obviously have companies like Cohiba, you know, Red Dot Cohiba, CAO, Macanudo, Punch. They own Cigar International. They're a huge retailer. They announced that they reported a 2.3% drop in sales and a 5.5% drop in profit in the second quarter of 2023. So it seems, and this is following, I don't know if you remember, we mentioned this on the podcast. The first quarter cigar imports and sales were down also from last year.
Right.
You know, so you're seeing, is it a correction?
Mm.
Is it an adjustment to price, or you mentioned earlier inflation? Like, you know, is this just people are smoking less? Is it the prices have gone up?
I think
What is it?
I think
Multiple factors.
I think it's
involved.
multiple factors. I remember I bought I would sit out in like 35-degree weather in my gazebo with the curtains and a propane heater and sit on my deck and smoke a cigar like during COVID. Like, you're going crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was like there's no social interaction, there's nothing going on, and it was weird. It was like
You
different.
were in the Cuban cigar YouTube vortex in those days.
That's right. And I would sit out there and just smoke and smoke. But I think that you know, you go out. So now it's like, well, okay, you know, outside of this group, like, I'll go out to a dinner. Well, if I'm going to, sometimes I go out to dinner, you know, I go out to dinner a couple times a week.
Yeah.
You know, if I go out to I'll come home, I go out to dinner, like, it's
done.
10 o'clock. I'm
You're
tired.
done.
You know, I'm tired. I'm not going to retire to my deck at this point in my life and sit there for an hour and have a cigar. It's just not going to do it. But like during COVID, like, it was like you're on your cell phone, you know, I'm listening to music, you're calling people, you're like, whatever, trying to it was just weird, right? You know,
Yeah.
people are out, they're going to concerts, you're doing things, you're out. Everything was so closed. Cigars that's where we met.
That's where we
met.
That's where we started.
I joined the original lounge, quite honestly, because I was like, I probably never would have joined a cigar lounge. And I was like, I need a place to go. This place is open when nothing was open. I need to go someplace and get out of my house and have, 1, a cocktail, and 2, a cigar. And I'm like, there's no place to actually go. Like, bars weren't open.
Mhm.
However, the cigar lounge was.
Yeah.
And so it was like, okay, you're open? You mean you're telling me I can come here like anytime and have a cocktail and have a cigar and
Before
literally
10 p.m.
Hey, I took it. You know,
Hey, it
Take
worked.
what
I
you
was
get.
like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I think we were all spending a lot of time there because by default,
It was the only thing to do.
Yeah, nothing else.
But
Yeah.
you really have to look at the numbers pre-COVID compared to now,
Sure.
not during COVID.
Yeah, not during
You know,
COVID. Yeah.
because a lot of people had a lot of ample time and they were smoking a lot more. So if you compare the numbers pre-COVID and now, they're probably about the same.
It's probably
Very
true.
well could be.
probably, yeah, probably.
You know, I will say this is a controversial statement, but in some ways, and I told someone this the other day, I kind of miss some of the quiet of COVID. I miss that.
Oh,
I agree.
I miss that freedom to, I was still getting work done. In some ways, I almost felt more productive because it was the rat race was turned off.
Mm.
It's like I kind of miss how that felt.
do you like the police tape up around your house?
Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like
I mean, that's
miss
what it was.
but I miss-
yellow tape around their home. I mean, it's like,
red letter on
Yeah.
your door.
yeah, it's like
But
a
do you-
murder scene.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
I honestly I agree. There's a lot of me. The
Uh,
whole world, obviously, COVID sucked in so many ways. So I'm taking nothing away from that. But there's always these silver linings in these bad situations. And the one huge silver lining of COVID for me was the whole world slowed down and I was able to just have more time to connect with, friends I hadn't even talked to in a long time, that like when the life in the world is so busy, you don't, Puba talks about like sitting on his deck and like calling someone that maybe you haven't caught up with in a long time. Like now that happens for me, like at best once a month. During COVID, it was like every day I felt like I was talking to someone I hadn't typically gotten a chance to like catch up with in depth. And I did enjoy that, honestly. Like it just not having to travel as much, being able to just take meetings all from home, basically. I mean, it was just so much easier.
yeah, yeah, I'm split on that a little.
Now, I'm not saying I want COVID again to have that, but
Of
I
course.
wish that there was a way to have that
I wish
part
there
of
was a
it
hybrid.
without COVID, like
Yeah.
now.
Well,
Mm.
yeah. I mean, I could do a lot with this. I won't go crazy on it, but I'll give you my point of view and people can react. I think the work from home thing is complete horseshit and bullshit. I think if you can go out to a restaurant, I think that if you can go to a concert, if you can go, you can show up to the office and work with other people and do a job.
Well, so let me say this. My point of saying I miss COVID a little bit is simply tied to how much free time I had. My work didn't really change. I have my own thing, but like work didn't change so much, but it was the other stuff those other requirements that come into your life that kind of evaporated for a couple of years.
Yeah, they did.
Like what?
I like
Well, gatherings.
weddings. I don't want to
birthday
go. I'm done with
parties,
weddings.
yeah, all
Okay,
that.
I don't want to go to weddings.
Uh-huh.
I like social gatherings, dinners where you don't really want to go, but you say yes because you feel bad. There's a guilt component. Those kind of things. Like I just really loved my free time, and because of that, I developed really this thing of ours. This thing developed in me where it's like this became, because of that, like a really important part of my life. Sitting down for extended periods of time with people and enjoying cigars with now my closest friends
Yeah.
in the world.
I'll just say quickly, I don't disagree with a single thing Puba said. From a workplace perspective, I'm on exactly the same page. When I say I miss that element that Gizmo's describing during COVID, for me, it's like if in this utopia, I would be able to have that free time and people would somehow be able to be productive getting their work done wherever it's happening. But like in reality, yes, I'm 100% in agreement. Like,
Yes.
again, I know in my
I am
business,
too.
like productivity has suffered tremendously without people being in the office as much as they were before COVID. All that's a total problem. So for me, just in this idealistic world, if I could have it my way and business would actually function at the exact same level, it would be great to have more of that free time and
Sure.
ability to connect. But practically speaking, yes, it's
Yeah.
not sustainable.
It's
Absolutely.
right. Yeah, agreed.
That's the piece of it I missed, and that's the only piece. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
completely
yeah.
agree with
Well,
you.
yeah. I think everybody was kind of like, "Oh, well, this is kind of cool for a second. But then there's this hangover from it,
Yeah, sure.
which I'm not bullish on. This whole thing where people, because what's going on.
Yeah.
you know what's going on. I mean, it's
people take
bullshit.
advantage.
It's
Yeah.
bullshit. Yeah.
All right, boys. So we're coming to the end of our evening. Any final thoughts before we do our ratings on the rye whiskey and the cigar tonight?
Let's
No
do it.
thoughts at all.
That's called so Pagoda clearly he's gone to the mind eraser stage where it's like remember that cocktail called the mind eraser? It's like it was like vodka, Kahlua. It was like kind of like a white
That
Russian.
sounds disgusting.
or
Kinda what this
something, and
is.
then you drink it through a straw. It's called the mind eraser. Mind has been
It's like that. It's like that thing in Men in Black where they erase your memory.
Yes, exactly.
All right, boys, you ready to do the formal liquor rating on the Senator barrel proof straight rye whiskey?
Sure.
There's
Bam
going to
Bam.
be a lawsuit,
You're up.
by the way, right after this.
You and Pagoda, you guys can do a joint suit.
Litigation.
I think I'm at a 6 on this thing. First off, it was that for me, it had a lot of burn, but eventually I kind of mellowed out for me. But, flavor was okay. I would never drink this again. For me, 6.
Okay, Pagoda.
A 5. I do think that I really enjoyed it. Not really. I enjoyed it a lot more after the water. After pouring
He
some
enjoyed the water.
Poland Spring.
That Poland Spring is really good.
I'll tell you, it was
A 9 for the Poland Springs.
Senator.
I think I'm also at a 6. It was harsh. It definitely mellowed out with some ice. But the disappointment for me is the flavor that you're getting from it. There's not much there. I mean, it's supposed to be a rye. It should be more flavorful, and it's just very kind of monotone and boring. I wouldn't drink it again.
Yeah.
So if I was, there was absolutely nothing left to drink. Can you stomach it? Sure. It was, we all, I think, took several sips of it, but I would never pursue it.
Yeah, I don't think any one of us would go and buy this.
I don't think so.
No.
Puba.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a 6. It's not that good.
Okay.
It's a 6 for me too, boys.
All right.
The formal liquor rating is a 5.8, which I think is a perfect score for this.
Yes, it is.
This is a 58 all day.
And this tequila, what is this tequila? About 2? 1?
Oh, the rum? The Haitian rum?
minus 1.
0.
-1.
That's a -2, yeah.
0.0.
All right, boys, let's do the formal lizard rating on the Ashton, VSG, and Torpedo. Rooster, you're up.
So I'm going to give it an 8. The first third, for me, it started out like a 9. I mean, I was like, this is a great cigar. But the second half, it kind of, I don't know. It's an 8. I really enjoyed the beginning of the cigar than the second half of that. So
Yeah, good cigar. It's an 8. It's an 8 for me. I thought that I like the blend. It's a little too much of what it is in this Vitola for me. Like it's just too much of that for too long. Where I think to what Senator said before, like in a Robusto, I'd like it more. In a Lonsdale, I think I like it a little bit better. Minus performance issues, which I haven't experienced with the Lonsdale. But again, I've probably only smoked 10 of the Lonsdales in my life, so it's not like I've smoked a ton of the Lonsdales. So a good cigar. It's a solid 8 for me. I like it. I think it's a nice smoke, and I'd recommend it. It's approachable. It's rich. It's good. It's available and it's accessible, and it's priced pretty fair. So it's an 8 for me.
Yeah, it's also an 8 for me. I think it's one step down from the experience of the Illusion, the Lonsdale for me. Yeah, so it's an 8 for sure. Senator.
This is easy. I'm also with you guys. I'm at an 8. I think the first 2/3 I actually really liked. It was the last third. I don't know if it was a function of just kind of, as Puba has said, like the size of this cigar. I just maybe got a little bored with the final third, or maybe it got slightly muddled a little bit down the stretch, but very good cigar. If this were just a little bit shorter, like it could have earned a 9 from me. And the one thing I will give this a lot of credit for, the construction on this cigar is flawless. I say that I forgot to note it, but I was at a point with my ash at least 2 inches, if not close to 3 inches, just perfect burn, 0 issues whatsoever. So that was a huge merit. But I would love to try this in Robusto because I think that would probably be like what could get this to a 9 for me.
yeah, even the 40. There's a 46 ring gauge, I think.
I think so.
Yeah,
44 or
that,
46.
That would be ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pagoda.
Yeah, I'm going to rate it as an 8 as well. I was thinking about this in terms of trying to categorize them with a certain cigars. I think I mentioned in the beginning of the episode that I would categorize it more in like an aging room, and they're like all these cigars are very, very good. They're great actually for the price point. Maybe the aging room is a lot cheaper. Um, it didn't go out and say, "Hey, listen, this is fantastic. Where I need to go and buy it. This is what I really want." But yeah, meaning if it's a cigar, if I'm in a store, I'll definitely easily pick one. Or if I have to suggest it to somebody, I'll do it. But I'd categorize it in Asian room, like La Historia, including the Senator, which I don't particularly go and buy all the time, right? But I'll have a few and I'll smoke them once in a while and enjoy them, and that's really
Yeah, that's a great
where-
cigar.
where-
Yeah. Bam.
I'm at an 8 as well. I think it's got a lot of merit. The first 2/3, as Senator said, were very good, but it definitely faded out at the end. But the smoke output was fantastic. It really is a beautifully made cigar, and the ash is bright white. I think it earned an 8
Yeah.
overall.
And that's the former Lizard Rating Boys,
Yeah.
a flat 8.0,
Yeah, it's good.
which I think, the Lonsdale, the Illusion we mentioned, was an 8.8. I think this is just a step down from that. I think
agree.
the first half of this, for me, if it continued that first half, if it built on that in the second, as opposed to, drop a little bit,
Yeah.
I very well could have seen myself, I could
Well,
have seen myself giving this a
And
9.
that goes
but-
to someone mentioned if it was shorter, you probably would have gotten that performance out of that shorter Robusto.
Yeah.
But
If
but you know
if
what's
it
really
comes in, does
interesting?
it come in a Robusto?
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
that's
two
what I wanna
Robustos,
try
yeah.
next.
Yeah, we should try that.
Somebody mentioned the Pledge of Allegiance earlier and the complexity with the citrus and the thing, which continued a bit further along. I think it was rated a bit higher.
Yeah,
you
that
know,
cigar rated really well.
right?
Yeah.
So I think if you will think about it from that perspective, it's a very fair rating.
That's a great point by Pagoda, because when you think of that Pledge of Allegiance, the kind of balance between citrus and cocoa and coffee and all those notes, it stayed all the way through.
Yes, where this didn't.
That's why that cigar scored so high. And I
Right.
think all of us, whether it was the final third or even half of it, we lost some of that. And I think
Mhm.
that's what still made it a very enjoyable smoke. That's why all of us gave it an 8, but it didn't reach kind of that top notch score of a 9 or a 10 because of
Yep.
that.
8 is still an excellent score.
Oh
Yeah, and I
definitely
think-
recommend.
I think for the value, for the size, I think anybody could, like Pooba said, anybody can enjoy this. And like Pagoda said, I would refer this cigar to anyone who's in a humidor calling me saying, what can I buy? And this cigar is there. This is one that absolutely anybody would enjoy.
Yeah, it's definitely a chimney cigar. If you want to sit back and get lost in a cloud of smoke, this is a great candidate for that.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely. All right, boys, a great night. So the Senator Barrel Proof Straight Rye Whiskey out of Kentucky got a 5.8, and the Ashton VSG in Torpedo got a flat 8.0. An excellent night, and
Cheers.
we'll see y'all next week.
Keep smoking.
Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.